What's up, what's up, what's up? DADGIC here with what's supposed to be a short, but I'll probably end up rambling on for way too long about this deck because it is my baby. I love this deck. Grist, the Hunger Tide, is my favorite commander ever, frankly. I mean, it's a wholly unique card in its own right. You know, Grist, the Hunger Tide, 1 black green legendary planeswalker Grist with 3 loyalty counters. As long as Grist the Hunger Tide isn't on the battlefield, it's a 1/1 insect creature in addition to its other types. So you can search for it, you can reanimate it. Um, really just those two things, but you know, like those are great things. I can unearth my commander, and it's a planeswalker. I don't know which camera we're at. Oh, there's a lot of glare there. Grist. Yes, it's my baby. And I love this deck. Now, what I really love about this deck is the namesake combo. I call the deck Grist Cauldron because Agatha's Soul Cauldron with Grist the Hunger Tide is the most hilarious combo that I can think of. I mean, I'm sure you could post like funnier combos, right? I have no doubt that there are goofier combos out there, but this one's actually half decent, which is pretty good for goofy combos. See, you take Grist, right? Grist the Hunger Tide, and you let it die. So I want my commander to get killed. It's a pretty unique play pattern already. It's not wholly unique, but it's pretty unique. Like, not a lot of people are like, hey, I want you to kill my commander. And then we take Agatha's Soul Cauldron, which is, you know, down here in the artifacts, right? We got Agatha's Soul Cauldron, which is a 2-mana legendary artifact. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to activate abilities of creatures you control. Pretty good first sentence. Creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them have all activated abilities of all creature cards exiled with Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Interesting. And tap, exile target card from a graveyard. When a creature card is exiled this way, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So, Grist is in my graveyard because I wanted you to kill it. You didn't know I wanted you to kill it, but I wanted you to kill it. So you killed it. And then I cast Agatha's Soul Cauldron. And then I tap Agatha's Soul Cauldron and exile a card from a graveyard. That card is Grist. Now, Grist is not on the battlefield, so it is a creature when it's exiled with Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Interesting. So, all activated abilities of all creature cards exiled with Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Interesting. So, every creature that I have will have 3 planeswalker abilities. Well, every creature with a +1/+1 counter will have 3 planeswalker abilities and no loyalty. That's cool. That's cool, right? So if I say +1 my Grist, which is create a 1/1 black and green insect creature token, then mill a card. If an insect card was milled this way, put a loyalty counter on Grist and repeat this process. So I +1 all my creatures with +1/+1 counters on them. I mill a card, and I make a new insect. Sweet. And then it ends there, right? That's the end of it. But it is really easy to have creatures enter with +1/+1 counters on it. There's more than these ways, but I just play these 2, right? Arwen, Weaver of Hope, which is a 1/2 green legendary creature, elf noble. Each other creature you control enters the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to Arwen, Weaver of Hope's toughness, which starts at 1. That doesn't matter. All we need is 1. And so every insect token comes in with a +1/+1 counter. So those insect tokens have planeswalker abilities and no loyalty. They can still plus. So the insect token pluses makes another insect token. I mill my whole library, right? In the deck somewhere is a Kozilek, Butcher of Truth. 10 mana, 12/12, bunch of irrelevant text. When Kozilek, Butcher of Truth is put into a graveyard from anywhere, its owner shuffles their graveyard into their library. Awesome. So I've made, let's say, 30 insects, and I hit Kozilek, oh no, and I shuffle my graveyard into my library. And then I make 60 more insects, and I hit Kozilek, and then I make 50 more insects, and I hit Kozilek. Oh my gosh, I have infinite insects. How cool, right? So if they're black and green insects. So if I have any number of options available, right? Um, if there's like a blood artist and a sack outlet out there, that's just the end of the game. Um, I don't play any of them, but there's like Iara, which will trigger whenever a black creature comes into the battlefield, and it'll kill everybody. That's super cool. But a little cleverer around here, since we're milling and making creature tokens, we can play Dread Return, which is not a new card. Everybody knows about Dread Return, right? Why wouldn't you know about Dread Return? So Dread Return, 2 and 2 black sorcery, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Flashback, sacrifice 3 creatures. I have 100 and some insect tokens. Sack them. Sack 3 of them. We get back Sir Conrad the Grim. 3 black black 5/4. Whenever another creature dies or a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, Sir Conrad the Grim deals 1 damage to each opponent. So now Sir Conrad is out there. And we're going to mill, and we're going to make a token. If we mill a creature, we deal damage. If we mill a Kozilek, we shuffle all the creatures from our graveyard into our library and do a damage for each one. And we just do this till everybody's dead, right? That's the end of the game right there. That's how we win. We mill our library, Dread Return, Sir Conrad, blah, blah, blah. And if for whatever reason that gets interacted with, we still have infinite 1/1s. Well, 2/2s. Infinite 2/2s in this case. So that's the primary combo line. That's what the deck is built around, right? But obviously you can look at this deck list that I have here. It probably looks like a CEDH deck. It's my baby. I put a lot of time into it. I don't mind it being kind of nuts. And I definitely don't pull it out if people are saying, let's play with precons. It's not that kind of deck. But is it CEDH? I don't know. I don't think it's like good enough to deal with CEDH. It has some CEDH elements that, like, if I was really worried about what people thought about it, I would take them out. Like, you probably are gonna hurt some feelings if you're playing the Chain of Smog combo outside of CEDH. That's very CEDH. But that's like plan C or D in this deck. It's not really plan A, but we'll touch on it. We're already at 7 minutes. Son of a bitch. Anyway, so yeah, so now since this is obviously not short anymore, we might as well just go into the whole thing. Is it CEDH? I don't think so. You might. That's your prerogative. I don't care. It's hella fun to play, right? Grist is awesome. Just the card Grist, right? You sit down and you're like, I'm playing Grist, and everybody's like, oh man. Now what do I do? Do I play my commander? Probably not, because I'm gonna kill it. I'm just gonna delete it for 3 mana. It's just gonna die. Should I play this creature? Is it gonna win the game right now? Well, then I wouldn't play it. I'm gonna kill it. So everybody just kind of sits there. Like, Grist is like the ultimate stacks, not stacks piece, because it makes your opponent go, I don't want to do this. And by itself, it doesn't really do all that much, right? It makes a 1/1, and it mills a card. And it can kill a creature, a couple creatures. I've never ultimated it, and I don't run enough creatures in the deck for the ult to really do all that much. So, it's just a nuisance. The card is really just super annoying to play against. But that's okay, right? I mean, it's not annoying in like the you can't play kind of way. It makes you think. You have to think through your lines. You have to be careful and intentional about what you're doing if you're playing against Grist, because if you become a problem, I can very easily kill your commander or whatever the biggest threat is. Just super easily. You can see it. It costs 3 mana. It might cost 1 with an unearth from my graveyard. And that's it. And then it's gone. I think, yeah. Or Planeswalker, but mostly commander creatures, right? That's the targets. And in my group, right, there are a lot of very commander-centric decks. So I say I'm playing Grist, and they're like, shnikes. So, yeah, playing against Grist is kind of a bitch. I don't care. The onus is on you to sequence your stuff right. Like, I like to tell people, that I'm talking with about Magic or that like have a question or anything, like being the second fastest deck at the table is a great place to be at, right? Because the first fastest guy is gonna get killed by Grist, right? If you're like, ooh, I'm about ready to get set up and win, and there's another guy that's like, ooh, I'm a turn or two away from getting set up to win. Like obviously I'm gonna interact with the guy who is set up to win already, right? You want to be the second fastest guy because Gris has to reload, right? He only has three, so if I play him and kill a commander, I need at least another 2 turns before I can kill again, or I gotta proliferate, or I gotta do so, or I gotta kill it and get it back, right? I gotta put work into killing a creature 2 turns in a row. So you don't want to be that guy. So you have to be intentional about your sequencing when you're playing against a commander like Grist, which I think makes for an interesting game. Even if like Grist sort of looks like an annoying Staxy card, I don't. It doesn't like, we look at like a Winter Orb, right? That just keeps you. You're not allowed to play, right, in that world. Or like, I had a discussion the other day about like a Rest in Peace, kind of like an annoying stacks card for a lot of decks. It would be annoying against Grist. I'd be annoyed by Rest in Peace, right? And it can keep people from being able to play. But Grist doesn't keep you from being able to play. It just means you have to be careful. You have to be intentional. You have to think through your lines. You can't just like autopilot. Oh, I'm just gonna play my best card. Um, you gotta put a little thought into it. A little bit of work goes into it. Anyway, moving on. That's Grist. That's what I think about CEDH. The rest of the combos in the deck we touched on. We have Professor Onyx and what's it called? Witherbloom Apprentice, plus Chain of Smog and Chain of Acid. Right? Chain of Acid requires another piece, so we play a handful of indestructible artifact lands. 3 of them. Crop rotation can find them. Stuff like that. Usually we go for the Chain of Smog one, even though it's like pretty soft, right? People do not know how to play against Chain of Smog combo, by the way. Learn this, right? That's why this combo is not like taking over. It's super good. 4 mana, black green, like good colors, easy to set up combo. But like, I Chain of Smog, you take 2. I discard 2 cards, you take 2. I discard 2 cards, you take 2. My hand is empty. Now you interact. You've taken 4, I've gained 4, I've discarded my whole hand. That's when you interact. What happens is I play Chain of Smog, and then somebody's like, Force of Will, and I go, Veil of Summer. And like, if you would have just waited, just wait. Wait for me to discard my hand. I only have 4 cards, right? It's not like I'm going to just kill you with what's in my hand. I'm playing black green. Just wait. Be patient. The card says discard 2 cards, so I'm gonna discard 2 cards 3 times. Have no cards in hand. So, hold your horses, right? That's how you play against Chain of Smog. Now you can't really play against Chain of Acid the same way, but Chain of Smog specifically, I have stolen games that I should have lost because I knew there was a counterspell. I knew there was interaction. But I needed them to miss sequence. I needed them to play it to interact with the Chain of Smog or to interact with the Witherbloom Apprentice, right, in response to the Chain of Smog, instead of just waiting for me to discard my hand. Furthermore, we have Yawgmoth combos. Yawgmoth is a great card. We make tokens with like Chatterfang and Springheart Nantuko, and like Young Wolf has Undying, stuff like that. So Yawgmoth is just base level good, right? As a removal piece, as a card draw piece, a little bit of proliferate, always good. But it can combo if we can get the double Undying, if we can get Young Wolf and Strangleroot Geist, if we can get Machias and a couple non-humans, then we can just draw our whole deck. If we get another piece like a Prosperous Innkeeper, we can actually draw our whole deck because we got to gain life. If we get like a Blood Artist, we can just win the game. So Yawgmoth is a great card, but also you can take it a step further in this deck. And that's sort of like the theme. You'll notice like all the cards I'm listing off are base level good, right? Professor Onyx, base good. Witherbloom Apprentice, base good, right? Gaining a little bit of incidental life, doing a little bit of damage, good. Yawgmoth, good. Strangleroot Geist, not fantastic. Young Wolf, not fantastic, but not terrible in a deck that wants to sacrifice creatures, right? So they're already like just having Undying means it's base good in this deck outside of comboing. Warren Soul Trader, obviously good card. Combos with Chatterfang. You sack a critter, you make a critter and a treasure, sack a critter, make a critter and a treasure. If you get Prosperous Innkeeper, you can make infinite mana. If you have Blood Artist, you can kill people. And those are the only combos. That's all of the combos that I think are in the deck. I'm sure you could find some more longer-winded ones, but that's like closing the game out, right? That's the closer. It's all four of them, right? It's the four ways to close the deck. Outside of that, we just play a ton of strong green-black cards, right? Shieldred, Springheart Nantuko, Dauthi Voidwalker, Braids, a little bit of stacks in there because, again, we're stacking creatures. Priest of Forgotten Gods can keep the board clear. We get to play Reanimate, Unearth, Damnation, Toxic Deluge. What else? It's all good. It's all good cards. Plumb the Forbidden, Village Rites for value. We get Smokestacks in there for like the real OG stacksiness about the deck. You can get like 2 counters on Smokestacks. Like the game just is over at that point because you can easily make 2 tokens a turn, and not everybody can. And if there's somebody that can easily make 2 tokens, they probably can't make 3, and you can make 3 if you want to. Vat of Rebirth is insane, right? I mean, it's not insane in like a CEDH world, which is like a callback to what I was talking about earlier. There's parts of this deck that are like not built for CEDH. You could cut a ton of these cards if you really wanted to try and make it CEDH viable, right? There's a lot of like room, like the Agatha, like the Soul Cauldron combo is not what you would be playing for, right? Because one thing I don't think I mentioned, if you go for it and lose, your commander is gone forever, right? If you exile it with Agathas, you cannot put it in the command zone anymore. It's gone. It has to stay under Agathas. If Agathas gets blown up, that's it for Grist. Bye-bye, see you later. Yeah, Chthonian Nightmare, Tortured Existence, all these Dance of the Dead, Animate Dead, Necromancy nonsense, Meat Hook Massacre, Black Market Connections. I hate this card, but I guess I'll play it. That's a conversation for a different day. And then we only play 32 lands. The mana base is not cheap, as they would say. Phyrexian Tower, Shifting Woodlands is great. Urza Saga, Ancient Tomb. Yeah. So that's the deck. That's the short form of the deck. Now we could go through it card by card. Every card in here is very specific, very intentional about what it does. But the idea is to play Grist, keep problems off the board, and then move up slowly into better and better cards, right? You don't want to just go for the combo because it's going to get countered. It's going to get interacted with. You don't need to because we have sweepers, we have card draw, we have interaction, a lot of interaction, but it's like subtle. It's not like in your face interaction. There's no Cyclonic Rift. There's no like farewell. I'm not going to like blow the doors off the game. We're just going to play like good cards whole way up the curve until we can find a window where we don't have to interact with the board. And it'll happen eventually because you're destroying enough stuff. You've got like Caustic Caterpillars and Haywire Mites for the 1-rings and like stuff like that. Cankerbloom can do a lot. Destroy stuff and proliferate if you need it to get another Grist trigger. Dauthi Voidwalker is a great card because you can get it back easily, so easily. That's why we play Tyvar, right? Tyvar is great. Springheart Nantuko on something like on anything in this deck is insane. You can put it on any card in this deck and its trigger is nuts. There's no bad targets except for like maybe the Legends. Well, not maybe, like definitely the Legends you wouldn't put it on, but everything else is good. I guess Warren Soul Trader's like not great. And I suppose the Undying stuff isn't great either, but most things in the deck are great targets for Springheart Nantuko. Right? What else do you want to know? There's not much else to the deck, right? So we're curving up, we're playing a Voidwalker, we're playing a blocker, we're just playing Grist, and then we're waiting for problems to show up. Once a problem shows up, we kill it. Once a problem shows up, we kill it. Once a problem shows up, we kill it. And then once everybody gets annoyed enough, right, they stop playing into it. They're like, okay, I'm going to hold back. I'm gonna hold back. I'm gonna wait until I can like play two problems, right? Because the deck's not great at handling two problems. There's not that many sweepers. There's only two. It's only two. There's only two sweepers, right? It's more about single target problem solving. Oh, I guess there's three because there's a meat hook, so there's three sweepers. Um, it's not great at multiple problems. It's good at single target problems, right? So people will start holding back. They'll get slower. The game will slow down, and once the game slows down, that's when you can stick a Shieldred. And everybody will be like, shnikes, you got to deal with that. And they'll kill your Shieldred, and you'll reanimate your Shieldred. And then everybody's fighting over the Shieldred that will kill everybody because you can slow the game down with your stacks. It's not real stacks, it's fake stacks. Unless it's literally smoke stacks. Bars. And then the game slows down. And now everybody's like, shit, okay, so the fight over the Shieldred doesn't actually matter. You don't care. You're happy for the fight to exist, but you don't care who wins. And then once that's over, then you can stick your Magecraft combo or your Yawgmoth combo or your Soul Trader combo or anything. You just do something. And sometimes what happens is people just kill each other. Right? They just attack. You know, the game, people just slowly lose life over the course of a game, right? At this power level, a lot of people are playing Mana Crypts and Ancient Tombs and Fetch Lands, and people are just dying. People are just taking damage, and people don't really want to attack you because you've proven with your untapped mana that if you get attacked, right, you can kill them. You'll set them back if they attack you, but I'll let you attack anybody else, by all means, right? Or maybe you've stuck a Blood Artist. Maybe you've copied it. You've just done some chip damage. Everybody's in, like, the 20s, right? And suddenly it's like you're within striking distance of a big ravenous squirrel, or a couple of attacks from creatures pumped by Mikaeus, or, you know, you've got a bunch of mana and you stick a Sir Conrad without the combo. Ooh, starting to get scary. Maybe you mill a Kozilek after you play Sir Conrad and just randomly ping everybody for 10. Stuff like that. You don't have to combo. You just play it slow. You pick stuff off. You return cards from your graveyard to your hand, and you wait, and you wait, and you buy your time. You bide your time, you bide your time, you bide your time. The deck can function on like 3-4 lands. It happens a lot. We only run 32, and 5 of them are MDFCs. So a lot of times you're sitting there, you got a little bit of mana, you got a Grist, everybody else has got 8, 9, 10 mana. You don't care, because the average mana value of this deck is what? 1.66 with lands, 2.28 without. Now, of course, I modified some of these, like Kozilek is not a card for casting, so it's counted as a 0. It's there. It's just taking up a slot for the combo. You know, you got Finales, a couple X spells, so like those are going to cost more than what they're being counted as, obviously. I think Dread Return we might have modified. Nope. Dread Return is not modified. Counted as a 4. That's probably good. And some of these MDFCs you probably don't even need. Like this one's just an extra removal spell, but it's whatever. Dismember's usually played as a 1, you know, but I think it's counted as a 3. So it's ultimately like pretty close to what it is. Like you don't need the mana. You don't have to worry about hitting your land drops, which means you can just hold gas the whole game. You're looking for gas. Keep killing stuff. Keep reanimating stuff. And the stuff you're reanimating is not like world breakers, but it's just little chip damage, little removal spells, little mind your own business. Stay over there and do your thing. Oh, that's too good. Stop that. No. And then end the game once the time feels right. Right? You end the game with a big Agadeem's Awakening. Or, you know, you unearth the Warren Soul Trader and then cast the Chatterfang. Right? And like, oh, just made infinite mana out of nowhere, right? And there's so much search, right? 1, 2, 3, I guess 4, 5, only 5, 6 search cards. 6 search cards. That's a lot, but it's not like overbearing. It's not like you could run more. I have run decks with more, right? The last thing I guess we didn't really touch on is like a lot of these enchantments. Tortured Existence is so good in this deck. So good. You just discard a random creature, get back chat fail. Or, you know, Chthonian Nightmare. Sack a token and pay some treasure. Like, Chthonian Nightmare can hit every creature in this deck except for 5 of them. Just naturally. You don't have to make any extra energy. And if you manage to make a couple extra energy, it can very easily hit Shieldred, Yawgmoth. And you don't care about Kozilek. So, like, these 3 are the only ones that are tougher to get to. But you get there if you know, you just trigger it, reanimate a 1-drop, and then play it again, and now you can suddenly start hitting the... You can get Sir Conrad back. No, the card's insane in this deck. But yeah, that's Grist Cauldron for, you know, Commander right now. This is what I'm running. You know, if you run into me on the wild and you want to play some high-powered EDH, I call it, and I've talked about this in other videos, I call it casually competitive, right? It's a very strong deck. And if you want to play CEDH, I will play it. I'm not going to be offended by, you know, I'm not going to be like, oh, you know, I'm not going to split hairs. But if you want to get down to brass tacks, I don't think it's a CEDH deck. Though I admit it has, you know, some CEDH elements, you know, but I think it's a casually competitive deck, and that's sort of what my pod plays. So that's what I play. We play casually competitive. Nobody is out there trying to, what's the right way to put it? Right, winning isn't the number one goal necessarily. But if you can win fast and it's cool, then by all means, right? And I don't care, and we don't really care how you get there, right? So I think the Agatha's combo is cool, right? So I'm going to run Demonic Tutor, and I'm going to run Vampiric Tutor, and I'm going to try and set up this Agatha Soul Cauldron combo, which I think is a cool combo. So I'm going to play some CEDH type cards so that I can do it, which is going to make the deck, you know, a certain power level. But if it's not like CEDH where I'm trying to set up Thoracle, like, from the jump, right? And if I play it in such a way where I'm always trying to set up Chain of Smog from the jump, then yeah, maybe it's more CEDH. And if I've geared it towards setting up the Magecraft combo, it would be wildly different. And that deck would be CEDH, but the Chain of Smog combo is more like, alright, this game has been dragging on, we need to end it now. We can play another one. That's what that combo is. That's not the idea, that's not the go-to. Even if you, like, open with Witherbloom Apprentice, I'm not going to go chase down a Chain of Smog, like, turn 2, so I can combo on turn 3, because A, that's not fun, and B, it's probably not good, because the casually competitive sort of pod that I'm talking about also has, like, most people on Force of Will, right? Like, I'm going to lose my ass if that's the plan. If I don't also have Veil of Summer and Autumn's Veil and, like, other stuff. Like yes, I can do competitive things like that, but also my opponents are all prepared, right? Everybody's prepared. So it ends up looking a little bit like CEDH, but instead of going for, like, obvious combos like Thoracle, we're doing goofy stuff. Goofier stuff. Now, there's some Crick decks, things that are, like, very geared to just, like, trying to go off on turn 1, and we don't always play them. Sometimes we play them, but anyway, that's my soapbox. This is not a short video. This was a half an hour. Thanks for watching. Deck list links in the video. Comment. Subscribe, do all that cool stuff if you want, if you like me, if you like the deck, if you want to talk about other decks. I got a lot of build decks all the time. I like to build, like I said, casually competitive decks. Right, you see this deck is coming in at $2,500, which is outside, not inside everybody's budget. That's fine. I don't care. If we want to talk about the budget Grist, maybe I'll do that video. Like, a lot of this stuff is in here because I have it. Okay, and because I have it, I play it. Like, do you need to run by you? No. We can chop almost $500 off that number right now. Does this deck need Ancient Tomb? No. $600 out. Do we need to play fetches? Probably not. That's another probably $100 out. What else? Anything else down here? You know, do we need a foil Taknuma? No, probably not. Urza Saga? No, probably not. Phyrexian Towers, really good. Do we need it? Probably not. Like, most of this stuff can go. Beseiju, $40, probably don't need it. It's like super extra. It's very much geared towards the casually competitive nature of my pod because I need it to blow up, you know, maybe a turn 1 Soul Ring or a Mana Crypt or a combo piece. But if you're not dealing with that stuff, you don't need Beseiju. What else? Meat Hook, don't need it. Black Market Connections, don't need it. You know, Dance to the Dead, Necromancy, that's $25, don't need them. There's other reanimation spells you can play, or even like stuff like Raise Dead is fine. Returning creatures to your hand is fine and costs 100 times less money if we're talking about budget. Sensei's Divining Top, don't need it. Mana Crypt, don't need it. Chromux, don't need it. Agatha's Soul Cauldron, unfortunately, is like the namesake of the deck, so like I'm not gonna cut it, but you don't have to play the Soul Cauldron combo. What else we got? We got some special editions here that are affecting the number, right? You can get a cheaper Beast Within. Worldly Tutor, don't need it. Vamp Tutor, don't need it. Damnation and Toxic Deluge, like, there's a cheaper Deluge for sure. Damnation, you want some sweepers, so maybe not these two, but you want some sweepers. Demonic Tutor, don't need it. Finale of Devastation, don't need it. Agadeem's Awakening, don't need it. This is a foil Chain of Smog because I have one, but you know, so that's $70 or what, $60, $60 less on the numbered Kozilek. There's probably a cheaper effect like Kozilek, and actually for the combo, you don't have to shuffle your whole graveyard. If you can find like one of those cards that only shuffles itself, that is significantly cheaper. That'll work too. Have the same effect. Just keep shuffling itself back through. What else? Yawgmoth, you probably want it. Shieldred, don't need it. Chatterfang, you definitely want. Definitely. Voidwalker, don't need it. There's other good cards that don't cost that much. You don't need a foil Hex Parasite, that's for sure. Delighted Halfling, don't need it. Yeah, foil Full Art Grist, don't need it. $17. So you see, the point is, the deck doesn't have to be $2,500. You could build this deck to function for $1,000, probably, and 500 if you like dropped some of the other combos. I think there's a lot of cards that you like definitely need, right? Like Grist and Agatha's, right? And you really want some of this other decent. You end up with like a lot of like decent like $5-6 cards that you want, and you do need decent mana. You don't need Field of the Dead, of course. You don't need fetch lands, but you need decent mana because you want to hit. You need all your colors by turn 3, of course, and then you need a mix of black and green that is relatively even throughout the game. If you end up with like one black, you're going to be screwed. If you end up with like one green, you're going to be screwed. Yeah, and you run different ramp. Like I don't have room for Arcane Signet in this deck but you could cut Mana Crypt for Arcane Signet. Save yourself $200, $220, $225, hell, $227 maybe. I don't know. Arcane Signet's probably in the pennies somewhere because there's so many of them. Skull Clamp, you don't need. Like that's the thing about a lot of the cards in this deck. You don't need. Plumb the Forbidden, you don't need it to be Plumb the Forbidden. You just want to draw some cards. Do you need $2 here? No, not if you're trying to play on a budget. Not if you're balling on a budget, man. You don't need a special edition Crop Rotation. You don't need a special edition Entomb or foil Vamp Tutor. If you're on a budget, you probably don't need Veil of Summer either, right? You know, because we're moving down the power level in the budgetness. So yeah, anyway, that is Grist. Like, subscribe, comment. We'll do the close a second time. It's a twofer, you know. Just trying to really hit you with it. Let me know. Peace out.